Welcome! In today's video, you will listen to a passage about whether dogs can understand human emotions. During the audio, you'll see short multiple-choice questions. Listen carefully and choose the correct answer. Let's begin.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to look at a question that every dog owner has asked themselves. Does my dog know how I feel? When you come home after a bad day and your dog puts his head on your knee, is that sympathy or just a request for food? To understand this, we must look at history. It is important to remember that dogs were not always our pets. While cats have lived with humans for perhaps 9,000 years, and horses were domesticated roughly 6,000 years ago, the connection between humans and dogs is much older. In fact, genetic studies suggest that dogs and humans have lived side by side for over 30,000 years. This long history has forced dogs to become experts in reading us. So, how do they do it? The first way is through sight. Dogs are incredibly observant of our facial expressions. In a study conducted in the UK, researchers showed dogs photos of two human faces. One face was happy and the other was angry. The results were fascinating. The researchers found that when looking at the angry face, the dogs spent most of their time looking at the mouth. However, when they looked at the happy face, they focused almost entirely on the eyes. The study also noted that the dogs ignored other parts of the face, such as the nose or forehead, preferring to focus on the areas that give the most emotional information. It is not just about what they see, it is also about what they hear. You might think your dog understands the words good boy or sit, but the tone of your voice is just as important. Scientists in Hungary used an MRI machine to scan dog brains while they listened to their trainers. They found that dogs process the meaning of words such as treat or walk in the left side of their brain. However, they process the emotion, the intonation and pitch, in the right side of their brain. The most interesting part is that the reward center of the dog's brain only lit up when both the word and the tone were positive. If a trainer said a nice word in a boring voice, the dog was not impressed. But do they actually understand the emotion, or are they just reacting to a loud noise or a scary face? To test this, scientists tried a more difficult experiment. They played a sound, like a woman crying or a woman laughing. Then they showed the dog two pictures, a sad face and a happy face. The dogs looked at the picture that matched the sound. If they heard crying, they looked at the sad face. If they heard laughter, they looked at the happy face. Crucially, the dogs did this without any training and without receiving a food reward. This suggests they actually have a mental concept of what sadness is, or happiness is, combining what they hear and what they see. Finally, we cannot forget the dog's most powerful tool, the nose. Dogs can literally smell our feelings. When humans are stressed, our bodies release different chemicals in our sweat compared to when we are happy. In a recent test, dogs were exposed to the smell of happy sweat and fear sweat from humans. When the dogs smelled the happy sweat, they were calm and sociable. However, when they smelled the fear sweat, their heart rates increased significantly, and they looked for reassurance from their owners. They did not become aggressive or run away. Instead, they became stressed themselves, mirroring the human's emotion. So, to answer our original question, yes, it is highly likely that dogs understand our emotions. But why? Some people think we bred this trait into them on purpose, or that dogs learn it just to get extra food scraps. However, scientists believe it's an evolutionary survival skill. Over thousands of years, the dogs that could understand if a human was angry or happy were less likely to be kicked out of the tribe and more likely to be protected. Understanding us was the best way for them to survive.
Congratulations! You made it to the end. Here are the answers. I hope today's practice helped you improve your English skills. See you in the next video.